Everybody wants to blame Spotify and everything else, but this is the real reason why most artists won't make it.
You know, the biggest issue we have in the music industry right now is not Spotify, it's not AI, it's that you thought it was sweet. Yeah, you thought you was gonna get some YouTube beats. You thought you was gonna get in BandLab and you was gonna make your songs. You gonna drop one a week. You gonna drop all this content and you gonna blow up. That don't happen. That's not normal. You didn't want to put the work in. So now we all complaining like, oh man, I'm not getting paid. Oh man, it's only a few people that's making money at this. It's always only been a few people that's making money at this. It's always only been a few people that's making money at this. You have to adapt. Like, technology is only going to get better. You have to adapt. It's not sweet. You got to lock in, brother.
See, that's the problem. The problem is that a lot of people do not want to put in the actual work. They want to blame everything. They want to blame all the shortcomings of what they are experiencing on, oh man, it's the algorithm, or it's somebody else's fault. But nobody wants to really put in the work. Nobody wants to grind for years anymore to get to where they want to be. But they will sit here and blame everybody. They'll blame their own mama for not getting a record deal or their song not selling the way it's supposed to sell. And at this point right now, man, I'm just tired of hearing the stories, because when I see this type of stuff on these social media platforms, it's kind of like, come on, man. I'm literally like sitting there shaking my head every time I see people getting on here and blaming the algorithm, or blaming Spotify, or blaming YouTube, or blaming Apple Music, or just blaming anything that they think was supposed to catapult their career without putting in any work. If you go back and see most of these artists who are superstars, because there's very few superstars, and I want you guys to really listen to me. There are very, very, very few superstars, and this has been going on for years. Don't just think now is anything different, because even back then when people were still selling physical copies of tapes and CDs, there were very few superstars. Hell, if you even look at like places like No Limit and Cash Money, they're doing this big battle this weekend, right? However, nobody thinks about all of the other artists that those labels signed that never became superstars. You got to think about it. Young Buck was on Cash Money before he was on G Unit. He was not a superstar at Cash Money. Then we got the G Unit. You know, he did his thing. But think about all the other artists that were not as big as Lil Wayne, Juvenile, BG, Turk. Think about all the people on No Limit that were not as big as Master P, Mia X, Silk the Shocker. You know what I'm saying? Just think about all that. There was a whole bunch of artists that were on those labels that didn't make it. There's a whole bunch of artists signed to labels right now that didn't make it. And everybody always turns around and says, well, you know, it's the algorithm, and man, it's crazy right now because a lot of people think that it's supposed to be easier now because you don't have to leave the house, which you don't. You don't have to leave the house anymore. You can do everything from your cell phone right now. You can do everything from your cell phone right now and gain some type of success. But the success is in the eyes of the beholder. Some people think success is getting 100,000 plays on their song. Some people think success is getting 1 million streams on their song. Some people think success is going triple platinum. And they feel that somebody else's journey is supposed to be their journey. Like, yes, there are some people who went a particular route and put out a whole bunch of songs and it worked. They might have went to BandLab and went to all these different places and made their own songs and put them out, and somebody discovered it, and it just happened. Like, stuff like that does happen. We have those type of success stories. But most of the time, that does not happen. Like, for real, most of the time, that just does not happen. And it's happened for years and years and years. But now, with us, the artists of the new millennial that can just go on here on the internet and just pay a little bit of money and do this and do that. And oh my goodness, I should be rich because I followed this one guy who put out a song every single week. I followed Russ's plan. That's what a lot of y'all think. Oh, we're going to follow Russ. And Russ is going to tell us exactly what to do to become a successful artist. And we're going to go on tour next year. And we're going to be successful and famous. We're going to take care of our families and do all this stuff. At the age of 37, we're going to be the biggest rappers in the world because we're going to follow Russ's plan. But what a lot of people don't understand is Russ's plan is a little different because he had success on a major scale already. So he already has an audience. He put out numerous songs before he even got signed. Numerous songs before he got signed. And then when he got signed, he put out some songs and gained even more of an audience. But then when he left the label, he decided to go an independent route. But you got to understand, he still had an audience. And that audience carried over. And then he made some very smart moves after that. He still had to grind. He's one of the few artists that left a label and still grinded to become where he's at right now, where he's going on tour and selling out venues. And I'm not talking about small venues. He's selling out some pretty big venues right now across the country. And he has a new deal that pays him a lot more. He might not go double and triple platinum all the time, but he's making more money than a lot of those artists who are going double and triple platinum. But you got to understand, it took him years to get to this point. Think about even when he dropped his first big single that was all on the radio and everything. That was years ago. And then there's people that would say, oh, man, yeah, man, I'm an older rapper. I can come out just like 2 Chainz. A lot of people don't even understand that 2 Chainz was signed to DTP with Ludacris, and they put out a huge record in the mid to late 2000s with Lil Wayne. Like, he was signed. He was a signed artist. And he built up a following. And then when they eventually left that label and he had to do things independently, you got to understand, people knew who Titty Boy was. That was his original rap name. They knew who Titty Boy was. And then he took those followers and kept grinding, even into his 30s, kept grinding. And then he built up a following to where it's like, hey, man, even Kanye was like, yo, I gotta get him. And took a chance on an older rapper. But you got to understand, this man had built up a following before that. And then he got signed and built up a bigger following. And then after he left the label, had to build up and rebrand himself into 2 Chainz after that. And then bam, look where he's at now. But you cannot skip the steps of going through all of the adversity. That's the thing that people don't understand. The adversity is what gets you there. It's not the easy stuff. I didn't have my biggest hit till I was 35 years old. But I had to go through grind, adversity, grind, adversity, grind, adversity, grind, adversity, grind, adversity. And I had to pick my head up and keep treading through all of that. But now, since we got internet right now, we don't have to go through no grind adversity. We can just go ahead and hustle our way to the top, because that's what most people in the music industry who have a little bit of money, they think they can hustle their way to the top, and that does not work. And I'm telling you guys right now, that has been going on for years. I've seen numerous street guys. I seen numerous investors. I seen numerous people who've had money think that you can pay your way to the top, and that does not work. It's not authentic, and the people know this. The people want to hear this artist hustle or grind. They want to know that this person grinded to that point because it makes them feel good following this artist, because they're like, hey, we see this artist was coming up and we see all the stuff they had to go through, and now they're here. I'm happy for that person, rather than somebody just being placed on a pedestal in front of us. And it's like, huh? Like, I've been around a young lady whose parents are pretty much billionaires. And she thought that just because she was rich, and the parents thought because they had money, we're just going to pair them with a whole bunch of other artists, that we were just going to place her in a certain situation and she was just going to be, oh my God, the biggest artist, when she really was doing it just because. She didn't really have to do it. She was doing it just because. And at the end of the day, it didn't work. It didn't work at all, because people knew where this person came from, and it wasn't real to them. This person was living a lifestyle that was provided for them in a way that wasn't provided for a lot of the fans. So it's almost like you're parading your wealth amongst people, and it's like, hold on, the fans are not even buying it. So right now, this young lady's not really doing nothing at all, just being rich. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm trying to tell a lot of you guys out there who are artists. You cannot skip the grind. You cannot skip the adversity. You cannot skip all the lessons you will learn during that time. You got to go out here and go through the mud. And if you look at pretty much every artist who is a superstar, because there's only a few, if you look at all of their stories, whether it's them or whether it's even their parents who sat there and quit their job and took a leap of faith and felt that, oh, we can make this work, and go through all the stuff they had to go through, putting these kids in dance classes, acting classes, in the studio, artist development classes. They're doing all this stuff. They grinded their way to get to this certain point. And even when they got there, some people at the label like, I don't believe it. So understand that even if you do grind and get to a certain point, everybody's still not going to believe what you do. But it will get you to a point mentally to where regardless of what happens in this situation, I'm still going to come out on top one way or another. And if I am good in this situation, or if I get dropped from the label, if I leave the label, I'm still going to be good, because I still have a grinder's mentality. Even though I made a little bit of money and I'm straight, I'm still going to grind to get to the point where I want to be. And that's how you got to be. So shout out to all the artists out here who are struggling, who are grinding, who are trying to get to that certain point. I'm just going to tell you right now, all of y'all are not going to make it, but at least you tried. And for everybody who's thinking that they can just do a quick little shortcut because somebody else's shortcut may have worked, it's not going to happen like that. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you, it might happen to you, but I'm just saying for the masses, it's not going to happen like that for you. I just got to keep it 100. You got to come out here and you got to grind and you got to connect with people. And if you do that, then you might see a little success.